Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to this Infowise Ultimate Forms webinar. And today we are going to be exploring uh, a solution that I've been working on, is creating a equipment checkout system. Um, Before we get started, quick introduction. My name is Phil Gold. I am one of the training specialists for Infowise. I'm a longtime communications and training professional. Spent a lot of years at Nike as a global training manager, and that's actually where I started using Ultimate Forms was while I was working at Nike. I've been using the product for about 7 years now. I left Nike a couple of years ago and have been working with Infowise almost 2 years now. It's been a little while, um, but I'm also an author of courses on LinkedIn, and one of my courses is using Infowise for SharePoint. So if you have access to LinkedIn courses, you might want to check that one out as well. Um, Today, what we're going to be doing, well, actually, let's talk about some ground rules first. While we're doing the presentation, if you have questions, please use the questions um, tool in the go to webinar platform. There are other people from Infowise who are standing by and will be answering the questions as we go along. So if you have a question, that's the place to ask it. We will have a brief Q&A at the end of the presentation if there is time for that. And I am recording this presentation right now. And later today, the recording will be posted onto YouTube. Plus, there'll be a link from the Infowise website as well under the webinar section. And at the end of the webinar today, we will be having a free giveaway. We will be giving away an Infowise polo shirt. Now, the only thing that I ask, we can only send these to people in the US because of mailing regulations and everything. So if you are not in the US, don't participate in the giveaway. And I apologize for leaving you out, but this is the reality of it. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. For those of you who are not familiar with Infowise Ultimate Forms, what is Infowise Ultimate Forms? This is the best definition that we've come up with so far. A suite of tools that provides an easy way to develop end-to-end business solutions in SharePoint without any coding. Now, I cannot emphasize enough the thing that is one of the most wonderful things about Ultimate Forms is that it is so easy to use. I am not a developer. I am not a coder. I am a super user at best. But I find Infowise to be really easy to use, certainly much easier than some of the other solutions that are available out there. It is possible to build very workable business process, business solutions just by using the Ultimate Forms menu-based interface. No code is necessary to use Ultimate Forms. So what was the requirement that we had going into this project today? I got the idea from one of our customers who was asking how would they build a system to check in and out equipment and track where it was and remind people that things needed to happen with that equipment, like it needed to be returned. So we wanted to build a system to track equipment. It needed to be easy to use. So we have to have an easy form for people to use. We don't want them going in and having to mess around with the list too much. We wanted some nice visual indicators so people would be able to quickly understand what was going on. We wanted reminder emails telling people, hey, it's time to turn that stuff in, or hey, you're late, please turn that stuff in. And we wanted a calendar so that people could get a quick, one easy view of things. And we wanted to build a nice dashboard so that all the information would be collected out in one place. That's a fairly good list of requirements. So how did I go about building this? Actually, I'm going to get out of presentation mode there, and let's go into our SharePoint list. And this was where I started, was by building a list, because of course everything in SharePoint starts with lists, right? You have to do this first. Now, I had to think about, what did I want to have in my list? I wanted to track the borrower. I wanted a phone number. I wanted to be able to identify what kind of equipment it was. And I was thinking, there's probably categories of equipment, and then there's specific information. So I want to be able to link those somehow. I needed a date out. I needed a date back. And I wanted to record the status if things were checked in or checked out. Oops, I see a mistake there. And then I wanted to know if something was late. So we needed to have that. And then I put in an indicator, and actually that's the thing that I've got to fix later on, because you can see things are showing days late when they're checked in. We really don't want that showing. Now, there was some other stuff behind the scenes, some other fields that I built in, but this is basically what we started with. And when I was putting this list together, I used the tools in Ultimate Forms to do a few of the different things that are happening here. The first thing I did was I have a connected lookup. This is a cascading lookup right here. So if you pick computer peripherals, then you can pick what type. I wasn't going to show you the form yet, but I'm going to show you the input form, because this will make more sense if I do. So this is something that we'll talk about a little bit more as we move along. But here is the input form. And when you pick the category, computers, you then pick the actual item in there. If I had picked peripherals, I've got different items. So this is a lookup list, but it's a multi-level lookup list. Now in SharePoint out of the box, you can't do that. But you can do that using Ultimate Forms. And I'm just going to pop over to Ultimate Forms right now and show you where that is. That is right down here in Configure Columns. Connected Lookup is the tool that we used. And I'll show you this that I set up for items. It's looking at the items list, which is a separate list. We've got our category list, and then we've got our items list, which calls the category list as a lookup. Then we build the items list, then we build in the category list as well, and we can set that up so that it will all connect back to, we don't want to see that page yet, it'll all connect back so that when you're entering information, you'll be able to do a cascading dropdown. Now that's something that you can do that multi-levels as well. So you can really extend the functionality there and help direct your user to specifically the information that they need to have. The other thing that we're doing here with adding in the late button, I've got the little icon there that says late, and that was using Ultimate Forms color choice feature. This is another thing here, color choice. So all I had to do was, for this late column, I just assigned, if the value is late, there's an icon there, and we're showing the label. Now, the information that fills in late, that's a different story. But these things, so far, the things that we're looking at are things that took just minutes to set up. It's just a matter of going in and making some very, very simple choices. The days late, now this is an indicator, and I actually have to go back and do a little bit of repair here, because we shouldn't be showing days late for the items that have been checked in. I need to do a little bit more logical work on this. But setting up the indicator itself, once again, I'm going to go back into Ultimate Forms. I probably should just have this on two different pages so that we can scroll back and forth. This is another, oh, sorry, indicator right there. Another very, very simple thing to set up. We have our days late field, and it just does a countdown. Come on. It's thinking here. When you're creating an indicator, you have three choices. You can do a progress bar, a countdown, or a KPI indicator. For days late, I did a count up, but it's not showing right now. There we are. So the display mode is countdown, the goal value is date due, and we're counting by day, and we're counting up. Okay, so let's get back out of here again, and this time I'm going to go back here. The last thing that I wanted to make sure that I did with the list before I went on to do anything else is I wanted to create some additional views. So this is an all items view. This is a view that only shows the items that are checked out right now. And you can see that I've used SharePoint grouping so that we're separating these out by the different categories. I'm going to be using this later, so I wanted to have it set up in advance. The same for I wanted a list that would just show the items that were late. So I've got that in there as well. So those are just some extra views that I wanted to create before I went and did anything else. Yeah. And as we all know, the list really is kind of the most important place to start. You need to start with your list before you can do anything else particularly fancy. You got to have that happening. So the next thing that I needed to do, I wanted this late field to populate based on whether or not the item had been checked in or checked out, and whether it's past due or not. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this tab. So what I did is I created an action using Ultimate Forms, and this is right here in Business Logic. I actually created two actions. I probably could have put it all in one, but I'm not as clever as some people, so I just broke it down into two individual pieces. The first one was to update my list if we had a couple of different things. If the date due was less than today and the in-out status equaled checked out, then we were going to change the value of late to late. And of course, when it says late, it's also going to add in that red icon for us. And then I built another one that was just the opposite. Days late was going to be blank if the status was checked in. And, so it was just a real simple cleanup in case there were any loose records there. And it works just fine. It's worked on all of these. I can show you an example. Well, actually, I want to show you the form before I show you the example. So Ultimate Forms, everybody automatically thinks, hey, forms, great idea. How do we make new and better looking forms? And you've seen that I actually have a very nice input form here. And this is using the Ultimate Forms new version of the form builder. This is a really nice looking and easy to manage tool. Let me go in and just show you how sweet this thing is. We will go in. This is the Form Designer tool. And this is the this is the form that I built up. It's all done using containers. So there's a container, and then you put things into the container. We have all of the fields that are in the list, and then we have some control items here like containers and tabs. I added a tab control in there. I could have used accordions, collapsing segments, but I like the way the tabs look better. I applied some styling to it, just basic styling, using the theme. I picked the darker theme, and then I need to move this out of the way. Down in here, I picked, oops, for the tabs. I picked the impact theme over here, so it changed it to these nice colors. I could have picked the modern theme, but I didn't like that as well. So impact, that's what we have there. This is really a very easy tool to use. You can just take these and drag them around where you want them to be. You can move things around at will. And then the second tab is this status tab that I have here. And you may have noticed that on a new item, that status tab is not showing because I'm using permission rules that are blocking that tab from being displayed. We don't need to know the status. If somebody is checking out a new item, we don't need to know the status. The status is checked out. And that's a default value that fills in automatically. But if we are to go back in and edit one of these items, like this one right here, we'll pick that. Now it opens up in an edit field, and here now you see we've got that status tab there. It's checked out now, but if I wanted to check the thing in, I can check it in right there. And we'll save that. And it will, I did something else fancy there. I don't want to show you yet, but you see this item is now checked in. Okay, so the tab or the the form was once again very easy to create. If you've used the other form builder, the older style form builder in Ultimate Forms to create tab forms, that was easy. This is actually easier, and it took me a little while to understand the difference between the two builders, but I have to say I really like the new form builder, and I, for those of you who are thinking, okay, yeah, form builders, but what about SharePoint Power Apps forms? I'll tell you, I've been working with Power Apps forms lately, trying to do some of the things that I can do in Infowise, and there's absolutely no comparison between using the two tools. The Ultimate Forms form builder is just amazingly simple compared to Power Apps forms. That thing is hard. I spent 3 days trying to build cascading lists in that thing, and finally gave up. Um, so, once again, for people who want an easy solution, who want to be able to create something fast and simple, Ultimate Forms is absolutely the way to go. Now, another thing that I needed to have happen as part of this, and this was an important thing, is I wanted email reminders going out to people telling them that if their item was late or if their item was going to be due soon, giving them a reminder to bring it back or telling them, hey, you're late. So I used the SharePoint, I used the Infowise Ultimate Forms alert system. Now, I go on about alerts. I really do. Alerts were probably the very first thing that I used in Ultimate Forms, And it is still one of the things. You will hear me say this over and over. I know I get a little repetitive. I really love the alert engine in Ultimate Forms. It is so great. So if you've used alerts in SharePoint out of the box, you know how limited it is. It just doesn't do very much. It'll send an email message that says you've got an alert, and that's about all it does. But I was able to build custom email alerts for two different scenarios. One, that your item was going to be due soon, and another that your item was going to be late. And building these up was pretty simple. I gave it the name. I have it going out. The addressee is the person who is the borrower, because Ultimate Forms is able to pull dynamic information straight out of the list. So this email is going to exactly the right person. It's not going to a random selection of people. It's sending itself out according to the due date. It's going out 3 days before the due date. It's not repeating. And I did put in a condition: if it has been checked in, then the email doesn't go. The same kind of thing for the late item, according to the date. But this one, it's going to repeat every 3 days until that thing gets checked in. And this is working, by the way, because I've gotten my first late notice right there. Hi, I borrowed a keyboard. And I was able to customize the language of this to show exactly what I wanted right here. And once again, pulling information dynamically out of the list. I borrowed that item on that date, and it is due this date, and it is now that many days late. And return the item as soon as possible, update the link, update the list, and I was able to put in a link directly to the item so that people can go in and either change the status or change the date. This is an extremely flexible system. It is just amazing how well it works. And it allows you to build out a very robust automated process. And this does not have to be monitored by an administrator or anything. It can just run on its own and take care of all of the different circumstances, as long as your users go in and actually check the stuff back in. But if they don't, that's another problem. Ultimate Forms can't solve that problem, but it solves an awful lot of other things. Now, I'm gonna actually jump around a little bit. Let's go to my home page. This is the home page that I've created for this site, and this is that other condition that I wanted to have a nice dashboard page for people to go to so that they'd be able to see at a glance what was going on. And so this is what I've done. I've got the view on this page that just shows the equipment that is out right now. So if somebody is going to borrow something, they can get a really quick look and say, okay, those things are out. I don't need to worry about those. I also built a calendar using Ultimate Forms that shows the different items. And we can see this one here is out and it's late. We've got that information right there. This one here is out and it is not late. This one here is still out as well. But these are just web parts, and this is an Ultimate Forms calendar web part. This is just a list web part right there. I put in a nice border on top, or banner on top, excuse me. If you've seen any of Will Cooper's presentations, you know he really, really loves to have banners on his pages. So this is in homage to Will, who is on vacation. Um, Now, the other thing that I decided to get a little fancy was I put in a button here using the SharePoint Promoted Links app. And I put in a button for a new request right on the home page. So if I click this, I'll go directly to my input form, and I'm going to have Vladi check something out. Vladi. And his phone is the same as mine for some reason. 9999. And what category? I think he's going to get some hardware, and it will be a circular saw because I know he needs that. And we'll check it out today, and he'll have it back on next Tuesday. And we'll go ahead and save this. Now watch what happens when I save it. It goes back to the home page. Now this was something else that I was able to do using the new form builder. Is I've got a redirect link on the save button. So instead of going directly to the list, it takes people right to the home page instead. And they can look at the items that are checked out, and they can look at the date, and you can still edit directly from here, or you can still view directly from here. Okay, we can go in and look at that right there. Now, so, you know, if this list here, the master list, the fact that I've got a little mistake here with the dates, it doesn't really matter because people aren't looking at this list. They're looking at the home page pretty much all of the time. So that's kind of the solution that we've built up here. And you know, once again, there's a multitude of things that happen. We created cascading drop-downs with the list. We added the color choice icon for the late late field. We added indicators. We created some extra views. We added an action so that that late field gets filled out properly. We created a brand new form with tabs, with nice styling. We hide the status tab on the new form. We direct people back to the home page when they finish using the form instead of going to the list. So it's always really, really pertinent information that people are looking at. We've got the alert emails that we built in. And we created this calendar using Ultimate Forms. Built the whole thing out. And, you know, seriously, because I'm a little slower than other people, it took me a day to build this. You know, I was fiddling around and experimenting as I was doing it. So, you know, I spent extra time on this. Knowing what I know now, I could probably go in and duplicate this whole thing in less than a couple of hours, start to finish, because it just is easy to do. Using Ultimate Forms, it is so easy to make a nice, robust business solution. You can tie together your SharePoint information in ways that will be extremely useful for your users. And at the end of the day, that's really what it's all about, isn't it? Is making our SharePoint sites useful, making them easy for the users to get in and do the work that they need to do and find the information that they need to find. That's what our mission is whenever we're playing in SharePoint. So, you know, I think creating something like this is a very, very good way to fulfill that mission. Okay, let me pop back over to PowerPoint for a minute. Okay, and current slide. So, Um, before I talk about the next one other thing I can say about the solution that I have here, there are other refinements that you could do depending on how much time you wanted to spend working on this, or what exactly your requirements were. One of the things that I didn't do was build in a validation system that if people tried to check something out that was already checked out, it would tell them that they couldn't. Um, Now, we've actually got a demonstration of that. There's a webinar that Will Cooper did back, I think, in October of last year, where he was building a reservation system that would reserve conference rooms and equipment as well. And he's got functionality in there where if somebody tries to reserve a room that's already booked, they'll get a warning telling them that they can't do that. So this is a refinement that you could have done. There are other things that we could have added in as well. There's other validation rules that I didn't bother to put in. But Ultimate Forms, if you wanted to validate phone numbers, there's a very simple validation tool that you can use. If I had wanted to add in um, reservation or checkout numbers, if I wanted to give everything an ID number, I could have done that as well, because Ultimate Forms has a custom ID schema builder where you can create IDs to your exact specifications, and you can have different IDs for every different list or library that you use. So there's plenty of other things that you can do as well. I didn't go to the absolute max, but I think we're able to show that there's plenty of opportunity and plenty of possibilities available to us there. So let's talk about next steps. Where do you go from here? First thing you want to do is you want to go to the website, Infowise Solutions website, and download the trial. If you haven't already done it, this is the best thing that you can do, because once you get in and start playing with this stuff, you will find, as did I and many other people, how easy, how simple this is to use, and how powerful it is as well. If you purchase Ultimate Forms, you get unlimited support. There's support available. They're not available 24 hours a day because people do sleep, but they're very responsive, and they're, what can I say? I know some of these people, and I know them to be extremely clever. So that's a big plus there. Also, if you purchase the program, the application, you do get a 2-hour Kickstart training. That's an online recorded training that's included, and there is more in-depth training available. There's a basics, a fundamentals course, which is an all-day course. There's also an advanced all-day course. So there's plenty of information and plenty of support. Also, if you've looked at the Ultimate Forms website, then you know how much information we have available to you in the tutorial section. This is a very well documented application, and we're building out more stuff all the time to keep things current. Plus, the tool is continuing to grow and adapt. You've seen the new form builder. It has some functionality that is still coming, and there's other functionality coming to the suite of tools as well. There's also going to be another webinar, what we call a Build It session, on July 26th. Will Cooper is going to be doing a deep dive in the new form builder tool. So if you're interested in that, if you haven't had a chance to play with it and you want to get some some real nice guidance on how it works, definitely check out that webinar. You can sign up for that on the website. And also on the website, if you want to get a product demo, if you want to see a show of the basic functionality, sign up. We'll get online with you. It takes about 45 minutes to go through it, and we can give you some more detail on what the functionality is and how to use it. You can contact us. You can contact me directly, or you can contact the sales team. At these emails right here. We welcome the opportunity to speak to you, and we're always happy to hear from you, unless you're asking us to do something really weird, in which case we will roll our eyes at you. But I shouldn't say join us for next month. Join us for the webinar later this month. And there will probably be more webinars coming in the next couple of months. Summer, we tend to slow down a little bit. So I don't know what is on the calendar for August. I believe that there is something scheduled, but I'm not quite sure what it is at this time. But you can always go to the website and look in the webinar section there, and you will see listed whatever the upcoming sessions are. So now it's time for a contest. So what I'm going to do, I am picking a number in my mind that is between 1 and 100. And I want the people who live in the United States who want to get a polo shirt to guess the number. And the first person who hits the number will win. And if nobody hits the number exactly, then in a couple of minutes I will go in and I will look for who got closest, and they will be the winner. So let's give everybody a minute here. I see the answers are coming through. I haven't seen the magic answer yet. You're only allowed to answer one time, by the way. If I okay. Okay, everybody done guessing? Everybody done guessing? Oh, Stephen, you're in the UK, Stephen. You can have the pride, but you didn't guess right anyway, so don't worry about it. Okay. Here's the countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, Stephen, it was worth the shot, but you didn't get it anyways. Okay, so the magic number was 72, and I did see a 73 in here. So that was the closest number. So Rick Colt, I can't see your whole name there, but Rick Kotermash. Rick, you are the winner. I am going to follow up with you. I'm going to get your email. I've got your email address here in the tool, and I will follow up and contact you and get your information regarding sizes and shipping address. So that is the giveaway. We are done with the giveaway. That's kind of my show for today. I see that there have been some questions that were asked earlier. We've got a little bit of time here, so if anybody else has questions, you can go ahead and ask them. I'm going to pop out of here and go back over to the Infowise homepage right here. This is where we were saying, you can request a demo right here on the homepage, and you can, of course, download the free trial from here as well. Let's see, I saw a question there. Okay, can't see the link to the deep dive webinar. Okay, it's on the page. If we go webinars, oh, I can't show it from here because this is, I'm logged in there, so I need to go Infowise Solutions. Let's go here. Huh. Okay.
So you're supposed to sign in from the app itself. You can only view workshops through the app.
You can only view the webinar through the app?
Not the webinar. The workshops, you can only sign up through the app itself.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Vladi. What Vladi was just saying is to sign up for the workshops, you have to go in to the app. And here we are. There we are. It's right there. Free workshop. So if you've got a trial version loaded, this is where you'll be able to do that. It's another argument for getting a trial version downloaded and starting to play with that. So yeah, I do encourage everyone to work with the app. It's very, very convincing. Once you start using it, you will absolutely fall in love, I guarantee you. Okay, are there any other questions? I think not. Okay, if there are no more questions, then we're gonna just end it right now. But once again, I want to thank everybody who attended, and I will be posting the video later today, so you'll be able to go back and take a look at that later. And thank you to Vladi and Ethan from Infowise, who were online and answering questions during the session. It's good talking at you all, and we'll be seeing you soon on the Infowise Solutions page. Thank you.